Okay, folks, welcome to part 2 of 24/7 Electric LLC out of Piscataway, New Jersey tutorial on three-way switches. The second part we're going to go over is new installation, and towards the end we'll try to go over the existing wiring and definitely some techniques that you can help to decipher if you can't figure out what wire went where, or you're pulling out your head out of your hair. So we'll definitely go over that. But first we'll take a look at the new installation. As you can see down here, I have a board. Obviously in real world you're going to be between 2x4s and things like that, but this will just give you a little better view. You'll be able to see what's going on here so that you can get the picture a little easier. First thing you got is whenever you have a three-way, you're going to have two different conductors. Okay, you're going to have I like to run a 3-wire conductor, okay, for the one side, and a 2-wire conductor for the other. That way, if there are definitely different scenarios that you can do, so that way, by giving yourself 3 wires here and 2 wires here, you can do different combinations of different things. I'm not really going to explain that here, but you'll be able to run it in different ways should you need to, or if you ever want to change something, you can, okay? Wire is not that much more expensive, going up the extra conductor compared to later on having to add a whole new wire, okay? So another thing I like is that with the multi-conductor you get a red and a black and a white, so it helps you sort of differentiate colors a little better. Of course you could always mark something with tape, but this just for somebody who's doesn't do it every day, this is definitely easier to identify. So what we're going to do, the first thing is this wire here on the left. Okay, we're gonna make this our this is going to be our line in. Okay, so this basically goes to the panel. Okay, we're going to say from now on this comes from our circuit breaker panel. Okay, so on the first 3-way switch, okay, that black screw that we talked about before, the common, okay, that's going to come from the wire that's coming from the panel. Okay, so that's going to be hot at all times. Okay, so basically what we want to do is twist our wire until it's nice U shape. Okay, using this for something else, but try to get it so it's nice. What you always want to try to remember is that when you're putting it on the screw, okay, you want to go this way with it. Okay, so that as you're tightening down this screw, it's also bringing the wire sort of around. Okay, rather with it, if it was flipped the other way around, like this, okay, as you're tightening that, that's going to wind up bringing this around, and it's going to wind up, usually you wind up something like that, and it's not a good connection, which could later on loosen up or cause a fire. So you want to always try to go in the direction that you're tightening up, like that, okay? And you could take your dikes or your wire strippers and try to get it a little bit more bent so that it doesn't come off the screw. Okay. Now obviously you would tighten that, and that would be the extent of our common. Okay. So right now basically you have from the panel the hot's coming in to our common screw. Okay. Then you're going to take from your multi-conductor wire, which is that other wire. Okay. You're going to now wire up the 2 travelers. Okay. You got the two top right here. So you have to pick a pair, which generally you want to pick the black and the red. Okay, you want to try to stay away from the white because that's most of the time a neutral. So again, put that on there. Okay, that's one traveler, and then you want to put the other traveler on. Okay, so now essentially you have all 3 wires wired in. You're going to tighten them up and run your ground, and you're ready to go. Okay, this, like I said before, is the white, so that you're going to make a neutral. Okay, but we're not going to talk about that right here. We're just talking about 3-ways. So this gives you, on the multi-wire, it gives you an extra conductor. You can just cap this off for now. You're not going to need that. Okay. Then the ground, of course, again, tie with the other ground, and you're going to tie it to the switch. Now, that is one way to wire that 3-way switch. Again, with this extra conductor, there's other things that you could do. So we're not going to go into that, but you will have, you know, some spares there, which is good. You can always use them for other setups if you decide to change this. You don't want a three-way, whatever the case is. You want to put a four-way and add another three-way later, you can do that. All right, now we go over to our other side here, okay? And the same thing. You're going to have two wires. You're going to have a multi-conductor wire, and you're going to have a black and a white, a regular two-wire, okay? This one would go to the light. So from now on, we're going to say this goes to the light, okay? So you have your in from the panel to the switch, to the other switch, to the light, okay? Now, we want to take our other three-way, okay, and we want to make sure that we, whatever colors we chose here, that we, you know, do the same. It doesn't have to be in the same order. It doesn't matter if that's here or vice versa. But we want to make sure that we choose the same pair. So, in our case, we know that it's a black and a red, okay? So those are our two travelers. Those are going to sit on the gold screws, as I discussed before. Okay, so those two are going to sit in here, right? And then you're going to take the other black wire out of the one that's going to feed the light, and that's going to sit on the common screw. Okay, that's going to be the output. All right, so you would put that on the common, and that would sit there. So what we can do is I can show you here. I'll just cut these off. It's a different type of switch here. All right. All right, so again, you would normalize, you'd make these a lot longer, but I'm just here to show you here. All right, you want to strip them back. All right. You want to make sure they're on the travelers. All right, so you're going to put that down and tighten that down there. All right. The red you're going to tighten down. Okay, that's our traveler pair. Okay, so you see you got your travelers right there, the two top gold screws. And then the other two wire here is going to go right onto this black screw at the bottom. Okay. I know it kind of seems a little confusing, but the diagram that we also provide in this video should give you a better clue on how it's done there. You can tighten this up here. All right. So that essentially, as you can see, is your two switches there. Okay. All right. So power's coming in from here, hits that common screw, the black screw. Okay. Depending on what position this switch is in, will determine which position these, which one has power on this. Okay. And that will in turn determine here which one has power and ultimately feeds out of the common out, which is going to go to your light here. Okay? And really, folks, it's as simple as that. It's just a matter of looking at the diagram and just, you know, deciphering which wires are which and sort of figuring it out. Okay, so that'll complete part 2 of the tutorial, and we'll go into part 3, and I'll show you a little bit on how how we can troubleshoot if you don't have such a nice setup where you have the red wire or you lost you know, how it was originally wired. So I think that's going to be very important to most homeowners, because that's usually what happens. They take out a switch, they put a regular switch in there instead of a three-way. So we'll go to part 3 and you can see.